In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you a game that I played in the Tiger 1 Hammer. The Hammer is a Tier 7 German premium heavy tank, which I earned in August of 2016. In this game, my Hammer is equipped with a large caliber rammer, an enhanced gun laying drive, and coated optics. For consumables, I have a large repair kit, large first aid kit, and an automatic fire extinguisher. My loadout for ammunition is 42 AP rounds, 25 APCR rounds, and 5 HE rounds. I am using the crew from my Jagdpanzer E100. This crew has 11 crew skills and perks, including Sixth Sense, Brothers in Arms, Clutch Braking, Repairs, Controlled Impact, Mentor, Off-Road Driving, Situational Awareness, Muffled Shot, Camouflage, and Silent Driving. Alright, now let's roll out. In this game, I'm going to be playing on Arctic region in a standard battle with Tier 7 as the top tier. In this game, there are 13 Hammer tanks and an additional Tiger tank. This is because I played this game on August 30th, 2016. This was just after the last stage of the Hammer Op came out, and so Hammers were out in full force. I was going to follow my standard game plan for the Hammer, which is to snipe from a distance and wear the enemies down before making an assault move. But with our light tank going on the other flank, I decided that I was going to take a slightly more aggressive position where I could snipe and spot for my team quite easily. I use similar strategies in many of my Hammer games since I have coated optics on the tank and a wide variety of spotting and camouflage crew skills and perks. There's always some risk going into this area which I am on Arctic region, especially with a tank that's a little more sluggish like the Hammer. However, I was able to make it to my position without being spotted. When I make maneuvers like this in the early game to gain key positions, I'm grateful to have the silent driving and camouflage crew skills. Now my Hammer is in position and I'm ready to fight. Luckily, I was able to outspot the first few enemies and get some easy shots in to get the game rolling. This Tier 5 did not stand a chance against the mighty Hammer. The reload time for my Hammer is just under 6 seconds. This gives me potential to shoot 9 rounds a minute at 240 alpha damage. Now when you compare this to a designated sniper premium tank destroyer like the M56 Scorpion, which has the same alpha damage as the Tiger, but only has potential to shoot about 8 rounds a minute. This gives the Hammer potential to make a serious impact on the game just from sniping. This is good to remember when you are bottom tier. But what makes the Hammer such a great tank isn't that it has the potential for this high damage, but it's very reliable at dealing it. With an AP penetration of 203, which is only 16 less than the M56 Scorpion, and it has an accuracy of 0.33, which is the same as the M56 Scorpion, which is a designated sniper at long ranges. This means that if you put your Hammer in a mid to long range sniping position, and you have a target-rich environment like I have here for a few minutes, you can really gain a lot of damage and assisted damage before you even take damage yourself. When games move slowly like it is now, with neither team making an aggressive push, that's when the Hammer really starts to shine. Now as we approach the 3-minute mark for this game, I've only gotten about 5 damage hits so far, which is nowhere near the Hammer's maximum potential. However, I have been of strategic importance by keeping the enemy pinned down and spotted. I'm also very pleased that even though I have been being spotted myself, I was able to get all this damage without taking any. It's really important that when you're sniping with the Hammer, every game, you try to hold on to as many hit points as possible, because the Hammer doesn't have very reliable armor to bounce shots. The one I bounce here is quite a rare occurrence. This means that the Hammer relies on its hit points rather than its armor for making assault moves. When I make pushes with my Hammer, I always assume that every single shot I'm going to take is a penetrating one. But if you don't think that you can outshoot the enemies that you're trying to move against, only make the push if you have teammates with you, because otherwise you'll be much better off letting the enemy come to you and using this excellent sniping capability to weaken them down before you have to duel them and trade shots. I have to admit, I cheered a little when the artillery made that shot. I 1,000 damage on a hammer is excellent. Unfortunately, doing this much damage to a hammer is not an uncommon sight because it has such flat armor and it's also pretty thin considering how flat it is. I was very fortunate to have not been hit by artillery myself, considering how much I was spotted. At this point, my plan was to move up and make an assault move with my friendly hammer, but at the same time, I wanted to keep him covered from the 2 hammers that he was already dueling. I would have moved up with my teammates sooner, however it looked like I was going to get a shot at one of these hammers while they were trying to make snapshots. Unfortunately, neither of them overextended, and it left me in a position of trying to cover and advance at the same time. Thankfully, he didn't take too much damage while I was doing this, and we were lucky enough to have continuous covering fire from our artillery. It's always a tough call when to make assault moves across this open space on Arctic region. There's a lot of potential for catching streakers and crossfires, or getting them tracked in the middle of the field, leaving them exposed for artillery. I think I made the right decision hanging back as long as I did, even if it did feel a little cowardly at the time. I take a look at the tactical situation here, and I notice that we've lost the other flank and that the enemy team is starting to swoop around. With 2 other hammers close by to the one that I was covering, I decided to turn back and face the enemies that were coming around. That way the enemy didn't get shots at the rear of my friendly tanks. Now it's been over 5 minutes, and I was able to get 8 damage hits without taking any damage myself. That's about 18 to 1900 free damage. I'm really grateful to have all these hit points at this stage in the game, because I'm facing multiple enemies and from many different directions. The enemy team was concentrating fire on my friendly hammer on top of the hill, and unfortunately they set him on fire. If he had have stayed alive for a little bit longer, I would have been able to get some more side and rear shots on the enemies that were trying to get him. With a quick head count here, you can see that 5 of the 6 remaining tanks on their team are here at the base. The only one that isn't is the artillery. When I saw this, I knew that I didn't want to start trading shots with these guys. And that means taking snapshots over ridges like I'm going to now. Now, this is when you start to notice the hammer's weaker horsepower engine, because when you're trying to reverse or go over the hill to get your snapshots, your tank lingers in the open for just that little bit longer, which if you're used to a Tiger's mobility, that can really affect your ability to give off your snapshot without taking damage yourself. I'm lucky enough so far to have only taken the 1 damage hit from the hammer, and that my teammates are now trying to cover me. It's been about a minute and a half since I fell back to defend the base. In this time I was able to get 5 damage hits in, which is about 1200 damage, and I only took 1 shot of 249 damage. The important lesson here is never underestimate a hammer, especially when he's able to shoot at your sides or rear. Its rate of fire is just too high to overextend without dealing with it first. I was really annoyed here to take a hit like that from a KV-1, but thankfully I was able to take care of him without taking any more damage. Now that I've taken another shot from a hammer, I'm getting conscious about my hit point. At the moment I have to deal with 2 tanks with no covering fire. It's a really close game, and I know that my remaining teammate is on the other side of the map, and that both of the enemies are on this side. I had tunnel vision at this point, just trying to take out this hammer, and I ended up taking a bad hit from the second one that's coming around the corner. Now, I thought I was straight up doomed here, because if I had been that hammer, I would have charged straight away and just traded shots with me. Since he was over half health and I was definitely under. However, he's still trying to get free damage hits, and so it gives me a fighting chance to duel him. It was a little difficult in this position to try to find gun depression to be able to hit the hammer as he's coming around there. Thankfully, I was able to reposition into an angle which I could use on him before he could get a shot off on me. Now, because he didn't charge me at the beginning of our duel, I'm able to get a free damage hit on him instead of just trading shots. I'm able to once again use my snapshotting to get a shot on him. Unfortunately, it bounced off his gun mantlet. However, he has a similar strategy and is having the same kind of luck I am. With the game being so close, I switched to APCR rounds for this duel. Although I don't expect that it made much of a difference fighting another hammer, I didn't want to lose the battle simply because I bounced an unfortunate shot. In that situation, it would have been far better for that hammer to have just traded shots with me. But now I was able to get all those shots in on him and I won. Now I can go and get the back of the enemy tank, which is trying to reset their base. It was a little risky taking this shot here without it being fully aimed, but I wanted to keep my remaining teammate alive, and I was a little greedy for some extra damage. And as I pick up my 5th kill here, we end the game at about 9.5 minutes. It was tense at some points, but it was a really fun game to have when I was just breaking in the hammer. In this game, I was able to get 5,208 damage, 993 assisted damage, and I was able to destroy 5 tanks. I was able to earn a nice heap of silver here with only a 25% multiplier. That means I still made over 100,000 on a premium account. And I was able to get 7,712 experience. Although it was a daily multiplier, it would still be just over 3,500. I got a highest caliber for this game, but more surprising is that I got a steel wall and a Spartan medal, which is not something you see too often for the hammer. One thing that you'll notice is that I only earned a Mastery Badge 2 for this game. If I had performed like this in a game a few weeks later, I would have gotten a Mastery Badge. It's just that the stats get a little hectic when a tank first comes out. I placed at the top of the team, earning a base experience of 2,337. We can see in the detailed report that I was able to hit 27 of my 35 shots, with 24 of them being penetrating hits. I'm quite happy with these stats considering how many speculative sniper shots I made, and that I took a few snapshots near the end of the game. With an epic game like this, I was hoping to damage a few more components on the enemy tanks. Unfortunately, I was only able to destroy a track, damage a viewport, and injure a radio operator. Well, that's all for this game, but I hope you stay tuned for more videos as I hunt for marks of excellence on my hammer.